where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, here we go again. More Rebel Force Radio for you. And we got another trailer to look at this week. Not quite as groundbreaking or news-making as Mandalorian Grogu, but we've got Star Wars Visions Volume 3. We're going to take a look at the trailer that just dropped this week for that. And I'm excited because some of these episodes are follow-ups to Volume 1, which I did watch. I know Jimmy Mack's a big fan of all of the Star Wars Visions. I have not made it through Volume 2. I think with Volume 3 coming up, I will probably finish that. But, you know, with the lag between seasons being what it is, Volume 3 is carrying some direct sequels or, you know, follow-ups to episodes from that debut season or volume. Not only that, we do have some more Star Wars Starfighter rumors and a little bit of news about Ahsoka Season 2. Plus, we're going to get to listener feedback and hopefully some Star Wars and pop culture here this week on Rebel Force Radio. So grateful to have you with us. Thanks for hanging out with us for the next couple of hours as we are your source for the Force and oh so much more. And by we, I mean me. My name is Jason, and with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Star Wars Visions, and I am a fan of Season 2. I think Season 2 is superior to Season 1, quite honestly, because Season 1 is all anime. And Season 2, it's more of an international vibe where you have different animation studios from all over the world creating Star Wars stories. So you get all sort of different styles of animation, as opposed to just the singular anime look of Season 1 and Season 3 of Star Wars Visions. But that shouldn't let anyone's enthusiasm for Season 3 get diminished. I thought Season 1 was just really good as well. But I do prefer Season 2. I don't know. Maybe some anime fans are mad at me for saying that. You know how anime fans are.
Oh, I live
Pretty
with
intense.
one. Yeah, I live with one.
Yeah, right.
They're an interesting bunch, but aren't we all really at the end of the day? But no, as you say, Jim. We'll get into it in a little bit. But that's interesting that Season 2 they created more of a global grouping of animation studios. But with Season 3, they're back to using all Japanese studios this time around. So looking like it will have that anime style running throughout. And 3 of them are actually continuations.
Wow.
Yeah.
3. Okay.
3.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And we also know that the Ninth Jedi is going to get spun off into its own series. Now, when they say series, you never know with Lucasfilm. It could be just like 8 shorts, that you could watch in over the course of like half an hour. But I don't know what to expect from the Ninth Jedi series. And we don't even know when that thing's going to drop. I would anticipate it being still a couple of years off, maybe, if it is like a really fleshed out complete series. But we could see.
I think they're still saying 2026.
Oh, they are.
They're saying 2026.
So this is obviously going to be a launching pad for that series.
That's what I'm thinking.
And if that's the case, I mean, we could be seeing the Ninth Jedi series drop maybe in the first half of 2026. But of course, we have a couple of other things competing for space in the Star Wars universe as far as 2026 goes. The Darth Maul animated series, which I predict will drop in early spring. Late winter, early spring. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, I was kind of hoping, maybe I'm being optimistic. I was kind of hoping for a January, like right after the new year, start for Maul.
That would be great. And then I would
That's just me
anticipate
being
us
selfish.
seeing a
That's what I
trailer.
want.
I would
Yeah.
right. And so maybe in November we'll get a trailer and a premiere date announcement. Maybe January, maybe February. The only reason I feel that way is because the Bad Batch seasons 2 and 3 dropped early in the year.
That's right.
The 2 years that they were released, and then you can have a clear runway for the Mandalorian and Grogu film in the spring, and then roll off the summer into the Ahsoka season 2, which I think it's going to drop in August or September, because Ahsoka season 1 dropped in August a few years ago. So maybe they're going to try to stick to that same premiere window.
Yeah.
So 2026, I mean, geez, just, speculation as far as what's going to be released and when. That's going to be a strong year for Star Wars.
It's going to be a big, strong year. And, whether there's synergy or not between, say, Mandalorian and Grogu from a character or plot standpoint, rolling into something like Ahsoka, that remains to be seen. But we do know that they take place in the same era of Star Wars, so it is possible. And that's something that Disney stated they wanted to do from day one, which is create one entire universe encompassing all of the different mediums. So we shall see. And who knows, with some of that theatrical mojo and knowing that they really got to get Ahsoka over, could we even see like some sort of promotional tie-in, maybe an Ahsoka trailer going out with the Mando Grogu movie, something like that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, something to tie it in. That's really wise. But you are, of course, one of the top marketing minds in,
of course,
the Cleveland area, and the Cleveland, and of course the Midwest.
Right?
Maybe in the entire country. I mean, I think your international status precedes you. I think worldwide swank. That's the new market platform that I just launched for Jason right now.
Wow.
That's what we got this week on RFR. We got worldwide swank. We have listener feedback. We're going to hear from Bryce Dallas Howard as she appeared at LA Comic Con.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise. Yeah.
We're going to take a look at what else we got. We got so much good stuff. I don't even want to get ahead of myself, but what I do want to do is congratulate our audience for being really the most kick-ass Star Wars podcast audience that could ever possibly exist in this galaxy or anywhere else. You guys made RFR at Rancho Obi-Wan a huge success. You really did it, man. You guys really did it. We've been talking about it a lot over the course of the last few weeks, but I just wanted to give you one final update on the event and let you guys know how much you kicked ass. The numbers are in, and it's a fish. Rebel Force Radio and the RFR community raised $37,000 for Rancho Obi-Wan and the Saga Museum. $37,000.
Wow.
Obviously, no expense was spared as far as the event itself. You guys saw the open bar. You guys saw the Skywalker wine tasting stations. You guys saw the charcuterie. and there was just, all kind of other expenses and stuff. Me and Jason, of course, accepted no talent fee for this. And, of course, I know what you're saying. Talent fee? Okay, all right. Enough. We did it all out of love and passion for Rancho Obi-Wan, Steve Sansweet, Ann Newman, and the entire crew there. So that's it. $37,000.
That's incredible. So everyone who participated and took the time to fly out there and hang out with us should be very, very proud of themselves and pleased. And this is just a great feather in the cap for, our relationship with Steve and Rancho and the whole bit. So fantastic. And of course, anybody who went there and saw it for themselves, they realize why this is so important, why this has to be preserved, not just preserved, but grown into something even bigger, because it's something you're just going to want to share with generations.
Oh, absolutely. They're preserving the history of Star Wars as told via memorabilia. And more than memorabilia, my goodness. I mean, actual historical landmark pieces in the collection. You know, we're talking about props from the film. We're talking about Forlom's crotch. We're talking about Darth Vader's codpiece, which I did sniff. I mean, listen, and if anybody thinks I'm going to share with them what it smelled like, you're wrong. You have to go sniff it for yourself at Rancho Obi-Wan. So we are definitely recommending you get a membership, become a member of Rancho Obi-Wan. That'll give you access to the ability to book a tour and see the museum for yourself. I know a lot of people who were with us out there a few weeks ago. They said they couldn't wait to get back. And a lot of the audience did submit for memberships, and we want everyone. Great. Yeah, so go to ranchoobiwan.org, ranchoobiwan.org, donate, become a member, and do your part to preserve the history of Star Wars as told through props, memorabilia, etc. ranchoobiwan.org.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hello, Jason. Hello, Jimmy. And it's Dominic right here, whiny Patreon member from Quebec, as you can see by my accent. You asked for feedback, so here's my thought about Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that not only do they need to hit it out of the park, they need to do a grand slam with this one. And to do that, not only do we need a good movie, we need a good toy line, we need video games, we need apps, clothing, a real good merch push, and that will appeal to kids. And I'd even go as far to say that I think the movie should be a little bit formulated. Formulated movies are not my cup of tea, but they are successful. Just look right now what's happening on Netflix with K-pop Demon Hunter. I've watched this thing. I hate it. I have a little bit of vomit in my mouth when I watch it. But this thing is crazy popular. Every kid, I've seen this thing like 100 times already, and they know the music by heart. So they need to do something that appeals, that is easy to watch, easy to understand. And yes, maybe a little bit formulated for this one movie so that the entire planet is back on board with Star Wars. And that's my opinion on it. So thank you again for everything, and talk to you soon. And hello again to all Patreon members and RFR listeners.
Hey, so Dominic, at the risk of sounding like a K-pop vampire demon hunters apologist, I'm not, but I do have a big fan of that movie in my household. And here's the interesting connection.
Which one? Who's
Bailey. Bailey's really into the
yeah. I didn't think that would be Parker's. Yeah. I didn't think that'd be Parker's speed.
Parker's all into the sports. Like, he doesn't even want to sit down for movies right now. He's just constantly got to be moving.
My man.
Yeah, he's just got to be moving. But I tell him, I say the movies and they're not going anywhere. They'll be there for you right now. Just you want to be active, be active. But here's the thing that's interesting about K-pop.
Kid. Do it while you can.
Yes, no doubt. Here's the thing that's interesting about K-pop Demon Hunters is, even though Dominique is saying that it's formulaic, that may be true. I haven't seen it yet. But what I can say is they did not expect this thing to be huge. There was no merch. Oh, no. There was nothing planned other than putting this movie out. And it is insane. And there are pre-sales galore. There are signs at various shops in the mall saying K-pop Demon Hunters clothing and whatnot, coming soon. It reminds me very much of not just the original rollout of Star Wars, where they had no merch for something that was insanely popular, but Jim, not that many years ago with Mandalorian Season 1. And you had people just printing T-shirts with Baby Yoda all over them because they had no idea that it was going to be as insanely popular as it was. And what I think Dominique is sort of talking about, he calls it, making it really simple and all that. What I think it is just about making movies for mainstream audiences again. I think that's what it's about. And you can say, well, they're doing that, Jason. They're making all these superhero movies and people aren't necessarily breaking down the doors to go see them. Well, That may be true, but I think a lot of the times, at least recently with the Marvel films, is that they're so buried in lore, and they're now dealing with the C and the D teams of these characters. Superman, and no, it didn't make as much money as the first Cavill Superman movie, but it did really well. So Superman was a return to form because I think that was a good example of making a movie for mainstream audiences. Everyday folks, bringing their families, bringing the kids, wanting some escapism, and I think that's what Superman gave them. And Jim, I hope that's what Mando and Grogu gives us, is escapism and something that everyone can enjoy, not just the most diehard, sycophantic fans.
Agreed. And we do want to see the reach of this to be large. I mean, who doesn't recall the great days of the prequel trilogy, all the hype leading up to the Phantom Menace? You couldn't go anywhere without seeing the Star Wars logo multiple times. North, south, east, west, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And I thought it was amazing. And it was also a time where you would self-reflect and you would say, you know, is too much a bad thing? Is this being overhyped? Is there going to be oversaturation of Star Wars? But at that point, we didn't care because Star Wars had been gone for 16 years, and we were ready for it. Everyone was ready for it. So it was a big splash. The Mandalorian and Grogu, while Star Wars has not been on the silver screens in 6 years, it can never achieve the big splash that we saw for the Phantom Menace and the subsequent films of the sequel trilogy, and, of course, The Force Awakens was super heavily hyped. They pulled back on the reins heavily following that. The Last Jedi didn't quite get the promotional push that The Force Awakens could, but what could match The Force Awakens? That was one of the most heavily hyped films of all time. My mom went with her old lady friends to the movie theater, and they were dragging oxygen tanks along with them. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it takes a certain level of commitment to do something like that.
Yes, it does.
Now, of course, the film, you know, the film going experience has changed drastically in the course of the last 10 years. The lockdown did a massive wallop on the box office, and really nothing's been the same since then. We've all become very accustomed to watching first-run films in our own home theaters. So viewing habits have changed. So when you compare the Superman today to the Superman of Cavill, it's hard to compare those box offices because we were so compelled to go to the theater back then. There weren't all of the premium experiences we have now. With the premium experiences, like, you know, the cushy theaters with the table service and the recliners and the open bar and all that. I mean, that was not really... we were right on the verge of that around 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. Or back in 2006 when the Cavill film came out. I think it was 2006 if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking about, you know, almost 20 years between the Superman of today to the Superman Returns. And so much has changed. Just so much has changed. So people aren't so compelled to go out. So I think the success of Superman is a really strong sign that mainstream superhero films will do well. Now, I think Marvel has moved beyond the mainstream at this point, and they've reverted to the hardcore, okay? How many times does it have to be proven that nobody wants a Fantastic Four cinematic experience? Nobody wants that. How many times does that have to be proven? That team, that superhero team, was stale in the 80s when I was a kid. I mean, they were stale back then. You know, it's clobbering time. STFU thing. And I'm saying this as somebody who is kind of fond of the Fantastic Four. Don't get me wrong, but it is not something that translates to a successful cinematic franchise. It just doesn't. Put Reed Richards in there with the Avengers, or Johnny Flame On Torch. Put them all in there with the Avengers. They're a great second team. But this ain't 1963 no more. Nobody cares about the Fantastic Four. All right? All right. So
glad we cleared that up.
I gotta step off the soapbox, but what I'm trying to say is, where the F is the Play-Doh?
Well,
where is it?
A lot of
Dominic
people have heard you, Jim, and
yeah, I know.
It was all over the Facebook group. It was all over the Patreon. People talking about the Play-Doh. So don't be surprised at the next Rebel Force Radio live event. You're probably going to be inundated with Play-Doh.
Right.
Forget the tomatoes.
Well, it's non-toxic.
They're going to be throwing Play-Doh at you.
It's non-toxic. We could serve it up on like Triscuit crackers and stuff. And I bet Rich Brendel will eat a bunch of them. But okay, so let me rewind. I bet he will.
I think that explains a lot about Rich Brendel, actually.
We love Rich. Rich is a great guy. He was great fun to have out at Rancho Obi-Wan too.
Yes, he's a good hang.
Friend of the show, Rich Brendel, who is he's been through a lot with us, man. You know, he's like, I would consider Rich Brendel at this point a true survivor. You know, someone who's been with RFR for a really long time. He's still
OG.
there.
An OG.
He's still there.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, you could run him over with a podcast semi, and he'll still be standing. And not care. I love that guy. He's a great guy, and I would love to see him eat Play-Doh on Triscuit crackers. I just think I just can visualize that. So maybe next time.
Next time.
But when I say where the F is the Play-Doh, that's what I'm saying is merchandise for the kids. You want to get the kids in it, you got to give them Play-Doh. They think Lego is the only thing that will open the doors. I'm telling you, you guys are completely overlooking the power of Play-Doh. And I don't know what's going on here in a world where I have to be begging for more Play-Doh. But that's where we're at in the year 2025. We need more Play-Doh. You want to sell this movie to kids? Play-Doh. All right? That's all I got to say about that.
And you are using Play-Doh as a metaphor, right? Or do you mean literal Play-Doh?
Oh, my God. When was the last time we had a Star Wars Play-Doh set? When was the last time?
I think
that's
a really good question. I think the last time, I'm gonna guess. I think the last time was probably some sort of tie-in with Revenge of the Sith. I seem to remember Mustafar looking Play-Doh. But I don't think, Play-Doh's out. It seems to be out of the licensing game. Every major movie that had a lot of merch invariably had a a Play-Doh playset of some sort. But now you can get the canisters. You can get some of the classics like the Play-Doh dentist or the barbershop, some of those things. But I can't remember the last time that I've seen like a movie or TV themed Play-Doh playset.
Well, the original Star Wars Play-Doh playset came out in the 70s, and it was tied into the original film. Then there were subsequent sets released for The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. However, Play-Doh still exists to this day. And they are still in the licensing game, at least as far as The Mandalorian is concerned.
Oh, no kidding.
There actually is a Play-Doh Mandalorian launching speeder set, which I just stumbled across. And you could get it from Target, $34.99. So they are still making Play-Doh. Star Wars Play-Doh. But how come we don't ever hear about it? All right, so maybe it's not. Maybe my question,
the right age.
Maybe the question shouldn't necessarily be where the F is the Play-Doh. The question should be where the F is the love for the Play-Doh.
The love of,
because I ain't seen none. And you got to inform the chillins that there is Star Wars Play-Doh, and dude, you got to go and get it.
There's Chrome Play-Doh now.
Chrome Play-Doh. How come we're not talking about this more often? Swank has discovered Chrome Play-Doh. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen here on RFR. Both me and Swank are getting our own Play-Doh sets, and in the upcoming weeks, we will be creating Star Wars Play-Doh stuff here on
Play-Doh
the show.
Playdate. I'm for it.
It's going to be a Play-Doh Playdate.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're bringing the Play-Doh back. We are going to be listen, RFR has exhibited a lot of power over the years. Hashtag bring the Clone Wars back. That's an RFR thing, okay? Blowing up the Death Star at midnight. That's an RFR thing. Where's Kidster? Shamelessly stolen from us by StarWars.com. Hacks. But it's firmly an RFR thing. Our next thing is, where the F is the Play-Doh? Where the F is the Star Wars Play-Doh? How come more kids aren't enjoying Play-Doh? If they did, you would see a huge surge in Star Wars popularity, and Mandalorian Grogu would be a slam dunk. But instead, they're burying the lead. They're burying the Play-Doh.
I'm looking
Jason's
here to see
ordering
if I can
right
still
now.
get it. It is. Mac is saying it's available right now on Target. Why didn't that work? All right, we're going to look it up while we listen to this next voicemail. Who's got the next one? Who's that? Eric. Eric from Phoenix.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Jimmy. This is Eric from Phoenix. Here's my very random speculation on Mando and Grogu. One of the scenes we got to see was what looked like Mando and Grogu in an AT-AT with snowtroopers, which looked like it could be Hoth. I'm going to say it's Hoth, and I'm going to say that the reason they're on Hoth is that one of two things. Either the First Order, I hate calling them First Order, I'm just going to call them the Empire. The Empire has got a hidden base there. They're following the same strategy the Rebellion did during the Galactic Civil War. They're trying to hide out, not raise attention. Or after the events of Empire Strikes Back, the Empire decided to build a base there for some secret research, cloning, something like that. And that's why Mando and Grogu are there. They're tracking down some leads, trying to figure out what happened to Grogu and, why he was hidden in that pram at the start of The Mandalorian. So there's my very random theory for the Mando and Grogu. Keep up the great work, and I will talk to you guys later.
All right, before we respond, I do have to say this Lego set looks pretty darn cool. So I found one where you can
That's
build.
Play-Doh.
This is Play-Doh.
They got to you, Swank. You're saying Lego and
I
you
said
mean
Lego
Play-Doh.
again?
They got to you. They got to you. That you've been brainwashed into thinking that Lego is the only Star Wars toy out there for kids anymore.
It's not.
Where the F is the Play-Doh?
Anyway, this looks actually pretty cool. So this is Darth Vader and Jedi Luke set here.
Play-Doh Star Wars Squish and Slice lightsabers playset with bendy 4-inch Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader action figures.
So you're not making the figures? That doesn't seem like fun. What all I'm doing is sculpting lightsabers, just making like a worm shape.
That's really, maybe it's not like where the F is the Play-Doh. It's like where the F is the creativity from the Play-Doh Corporation.
Well,
Hasbro. What do you expect? It's Hasbro.
You get these figures. You get a Vader and a Luke figure, and then you can make an R2 and a Stormtrooper.
Okay, that's hours of fun.
Okay, it looks like a First Order Stormtrooper to me, but
I was thinking it too.
Mixing the streams.
But let's just accept what we have right now.
All right.
Let's get our 4-year-olds in front of the Play-Doh and let's watch the magic happen. I mean, this is how we can groom the next generation of Star Wars fans.
These sets don't look as cool as the ones that we had. We were pressing out full characters. I don't know what's going on with these. Anyway, Eric from Phoenix had an observation. Here's what I think. And Jim and I were talking about this a little bit before the show started. I think that this film is going to look forward. I don't think that this movie is going to be looking backward. I don't think it's going to be giving us anything, any insights into what happened before the events of Mandalorian season 1. I think that maybe if this is a big success, they might go there with a follow-up, but I think they're making this for new audiences, and that is where they see the growth in the Star Wars fan base, and they don't want to alienate people with a bunch of backstory. That's my thought.
I disagree in one category, and that would be the Grogu backstory, which I think we will get information about in this film. I think we'll learn more about what happened to Grogu after the Ahmed Best Jedi saved him during Order 66. I think we'll get to see a continuation. Maybe Ahmed will be in the film as Kelren Beck, the Jedi who saved Yoda. And yeah, you know what? That would be some great vindication for Ahmed Best, which we've been talking about for the last few years about how he's been taking it back and claiming ownership of his performance and his role and doing so with pride and dignity. And that's what I really want to see from Ahmed. So it would be great to see him actually, his face on a movie theater screen, because I don't think we've ever seen Ahmed in an actual. Oh no, I should take that back. He was sitting in the I think it was called the Outlander Club. Yeah, in Attack of the Clones. He was sitting there with Anthony Daniels. Oh, to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Misa disa dusa. Oh my. You know, whatever. All right. So I think we'll get information that's been long gestating about Grogu's backstory. Finally get those holes filled in. Because then we could truly move forward and let the character grow. We can't let the character grow as long as we're locked into this mystery about some of his past.
Yeah, you keep calling him Grow. You mean Grogu, right?
Grow.
Goo.
Well, yeah, listen, you got to be down with. Sometimes I call him Grow. Sometimes I call him Grow. You know, you got to be down with the Goo Man.
The Goo.
And I call him Goo Man. I call him Goo Man sometimes. You know, Goo. I call him the Goo Man. Sometimes he acts like he's too cool to be called that. But
well, you know
how kids are. You know,
it may be the case. It may be the case that they look at the Mandalorian series and they look at the hours viewed. They've got the numbers and they say, okay, we feel that this story of the origin of Grogu is such that mainstream audiences will care, and those that have been with the characters from the beginning, which is a lot of people, not just your diehard Star Wars fans, that they would find that fulfilling and they'd want to know. So yeah, something like that quite possibly could happen. I don't know how they shoehorn it into sort of what we can assume is a standalone story or adventure, how they find a way to tell Grogu's backstory along the way without there being some villain that's revealed at the end that has a history with Grogu. That's the thing that I'm kind of hoping doesn't happen, is that this thing doesn't unfold and all of a sudden, oh, there's this guy and he's from season 2 and oh, remember this from season 1. I just don't need all those callbacks.
Right. Here's Tim Meadows from season 3.
Yeah, right. Tim Meadows.
And by the way, I'm not really on board with the Peacemaker, DC's Peacemaker, James Gunn.
With John Cena.
And I am a James Gunn fan, and I am a huge DC fan. I haven't really been able to connect with Peacemaker, but my family adores Peacemaker, and they tell me Peacemaker Season 2 features Tim Meadows in an amazing performance. Like, his character is just so amazing.
That's never been
I don't know anything about
Tim Meadows' performance ever. Nothing against Tim Meadows, but I mean, you talk about pretty bland. You know, he's just there. Just kind of.
I got my Courvoisier. So he's doing something right.
Ladies, man. Yeah, they tried with ladies.
They tried. They tried. It was a successful SNL bit, but it didn't translate to the film. You know, that's when Lorne Michaels was really rolling all of these characters off of SNL into feature films. And the Ladies Man, I don't know, man. I've watched it because Billy D. Williams is in it, and I've never featured a Billy D. quote of the week from that film. Why, you ask? Because he says nothing quote-worthy in that film. And I find it really hard to believe that you're going to take this character created by Tim Meadows. He's essentially a parody of Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, right.
And,
he's Billy Jr.
And then you put Billy D. And then you get Billy D. in the movie to play a bartender, and it's like perfect casting. You can't go wrong. But they forgot to write a single line of memorable dialogue for Billy D. Williams in that film. You would think we would have Billy D. quotes of the week from that film to last us for a year. But no.
I've never ever D as Lady Man's dad. That's who he would have been for me.
It was just a massive
too
fail.
obvious, huh?
Like Billy D. appearances in things like Fanboys was brilliant. Just brilliant.
Judge Reinhold.
That 70s show. I mean, it was just so many great things he's done. But you think Ladies Man would have been a slam dunk, but it wasn't.
No. It's up there with the It's Pat movie, for those of you who remember that character.
I didn't see that one either. Yeah. Or those guys who were all like tooted up at the bar, and they were
Will
all
Ferrell and Chris Kattan. I don't remember their names. Night at the Roxbury was the movie, but
Night at the Roxbury, Roxbury guys.
They took a movie. They took characters that all you saw them do was dance and make these goofy gestures, and clearly talking about doing some nose beers there on the dance floor, and let's make a 90-minute film out of that.
Yeah. These two guys with the booger sugar going crazy at the nightclub. I would have rather seen the Wild and Crazy Guys, Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd. But it makes you think about what SNL film spinoff has actually been a success. I think you can count up to number 2. You got the Blues Brothers and you got Wayne's World. And beyond that, everything else is a swing and a miss. I think they tried with Molly Shannon's Catholic schoolgirl character, Superstar. It may have its fans, but it didn't really make a dent in the box office nor pop culture. And then also, I think the MacGyver thing has some
The
fans.
MacGruber, they did that.
Or MacGruber, whatever they call that.
I think that was a streaming series.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They did resurrect Coneheads, like back in the 90s. They brought that back and did a feature film.
Oh, my God. I went to the premiere of Coneheads at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood. I went to the premiere of that, and I took a date.
Oh, my. Matt's working at the radio station. The invitations come in, and no one else wants to go there.
Exactly.
Hey, I'll give these tickets to Mac.
Yeah. Give it to the production studio guy. So, I went. I took a girl with me, and I thought I was being real cool and everything. She hated the movie.
But it was the premiere. It doesn't matter whether you like the movie or not. It was the experience. She didn't like that experience, the red carpet, all of that.
I guess. We're still friends, actually,
Oh,
believe
good.
it or not, me and her. So,
That's
I mean,
good.
at least something came out of it. But, Coneheads, not the ideal first date situation, even though it was a premiere. It was like, you can't get the relationship juices flowing in a Coneheads movie. Let me just put it to you that way.
We are from France.
Is Baby Yoda mean in real life? No, and his name is Grogu.
Rebel Force Radio.
All right, let's check in with Curtis.
This is Curtis in Omaha, Patreon member, and I wanted to provide my Mandalorian speculation is that we will see Gina Carano as Cara Dune. If they didn't have time to fit her into the movie as a whole, I think it would make a great mid or post-credit scene to let us know that she's back in the universe. I think we're going to see Tim Morrison as Boba Fett. I think a lot of what we've seen or not heard from him has been kind of like Kenobi denial from Ewan and Liam Neeson. I have a little bit of Ahsoka speculation. I brought this up a couple of years ago on a call on a hunch. I think in that second half when it's all-out war, I think we will see the destruction of Coruscant at the hands of Grand Admiral Thrawn, since it's never mentioned at all in the sequel trilogy. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Okay, more speculation. Mando, Grogu, and Ahsoka. So, with Mando and Grogu, what was his Mando Grogu? Gina Carano. Yeah, Gina Carano.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we've talked about that.
Yeah, we did. I think it's very possible. I do
too.
I don't know that I would put money on it, but I think that the likelihood is there. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have said no way. There's no way this character is showing back up in Star Wars. But in light of recent events and the settlement that was reached and the statement that was issued by Disney, was that a Disney statement or a Lucasfilm? And I mean, it probably doesn't really matter that much.
I think it was Disney.
It was Disney.
I think it was Disney. Yeah.
I think that
that's who she was suing.
The odds are good that we would see her. So yeah,
I think so.
I think he's right.
And,
I think
and
we
you
could
know
see
what's
her.
interesting is she got attached to a series like within weeks of that settlement being
She sure
announced.
did.
I don't know what kind of. I mean, I don't know if that just means she's shooting a pilot or if this thing's actually been green lit and it's going to end up on a network or a streaming platform. But
I thought it was a network show. If I remember right, I thought it was like on one of the majors, like a
ABC?
prime time. Yeah, something. I don't know about that.
So I wouldn't be really like knocked off my chair if we saw Cara Dune in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I really wouldn't. The second thing he mentioned was an appearance from Boba Fett in The Mandalorian and Grogu film. What do you think about that?
Boba Fett. I'd love to see it. That's definitely a duo that I really enjoyed. I loved when they were together. I thought it was cool. I thought their dynamic worked. I know there was concern or there was speculation of concern that people would not know who the Mandalorian was and all of that. But I like it. And I want to see Tem back. I want to see that character back. I hate that some of the misfires of that show has sort of it just feels like maybe it's put some stigma on Tem's version of Boba Fett, and I think it's unfair. I really do. I think Tem brings a lot of excitement and a lot of great things with that role. So I want to see the return of Boba Fett. If it takes Mando Grogu, fine. One way or the other, I'd like to see it. But it was one that was not on the top of my head as someone that was a character that was going to come back. I wasn't thinking about Boba Fett.
No,
but I'd love
of course you weren't. You weren't. And I'll tell you why you weren't. Is because essentially the Mandalorian has become the character of Boba Fett that we always knew and loved. I mean, the Mandalorian has a richer backstory. The Boba Fett backstory, they seem like they're trying to piece something together based on him being raised as a clone on Camino by Jango Fett, and then what happens next. He goes through a spiritual transformation following his him being devoured by the Sarlacc pit and him escaping and then landing with the Tuskens. I love the compelling nature of all of that, and I understand why they have to make Boba Fett a different character than what you would expect from him, because Din Djarin has essentially hijacked the character of Boba Fett away from him. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that's how the events have unfolded.
You saying Mandalorian Din Djarin is more Boba than Boba Fett at this point?
He is our idealized version of the character of Boba Fett. He is what we always imagined Boba Fett being. And the reason why they had to make Boba Fett so drastically different than any fan speculation, or, when your expectations are set to a certain level and you assume something about a character, but the character can't be that anymore because those expectations have been transferred to Din Djarin.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of the good elements of Boba Fett has been transferred to Din Djarin, so you have to basically reinvent Boba Fett. And it's fair to do so because he's coming back from life on the brink experience with the Sarlacc. So it almost makes sense to put him through some very drastic changes as far as our expectations of who the character is, what he should be, the mystery surrounding the character and everything. He found religion through the Tusken Raiders. He discovered a spiritual element of himself that never existed before.
Yeah.
So I like that part of the story. I just don't think it really advances very well into the daimyo version of Boba Fett. That's where it starts to fail me. But the character, so the character is orphaned a second time, essentially, when the Tusken tribe gets wiped out. So he's back at square one. So he has to take the elements of both of his life experiences. The things that have really forged him would be being raised by Jango Fett, forged as a bounty hunter, then orphaned on his own, so he takes what he knows and runs with it. Then he finds himself orphaned again, being without his Tusken Raider tribe, and he is able then to take experiences from both lives, his life as a Tusken, his life as a bounty hunter, and kind of merge them together to become this sort of benevolent gang lord. And it's just like there's something that is tripping up that narrative, I think, in a way that has resulted in a lot of fans expressing their distaste in the Boba Fett series overall. But when you really take a close look at that Boba Fett series, there is the percentage of good vastly outweighs the percentage of bad. But the percentage of bad has left a terrible taste in the mouth of some fans, and they just can't get past it. So, and there are Star Wars productions that are like that.
Yeah.
So you can't have Boba Fett be Boba Fett because The Mandalorian is Boba Fett. So you have to do something drastically different with his character, and now we're dealing with an aging Tim Morrison who is 64 years old. Okay, I mean, he's a very youthful 64, and Tamora Morrison is a great dude, and he adds so much gravitas to the character of Jango Fett. I don't know if that necessarily translates to Boba Fett.
Here's what I'm thinking, though. What I'm thinking, that you are 100% right. You articulated it perfectly with respect to how and why one might not think immediately of a Boba Fett cameo in a Mando Grogu film, because it is hard for the two characters to occupy the same space in your head because of, like you say, Mando filling that space of sort of the classic Boba Fett character. However, when I think about the Tem version of Boba Fett, I was thinking about him just showing up to help out Mando, in a pinch. I think it'd be a very fun cameo. But when you think about Mando not having any kind of close friend or mentor anymore, we don't know what his relationship with the Coven is and the Armorer at this point. He doesn't have Grief Karga anymore. So when he has to, maybe ask somebody for some advice, talk to somebody, get some brotherly or fatherly or mentor advice, who is he going to turn to? I think Tem's Boba Fett is a good option.
That's interesting. And Boba Fett was never a Mandalorian.
No.
Right. So it's just interesting that, he's out there still wearing the Mandalorian gear. And that's considered sacrilege by a guy like Din Djarin.
He sure held that helmet a lot during the show, if you remember. He was sans helmet a lot.
Yeah, well, right. So you get full on Tem.
Yeah.
Like a bantha. with his veneers shining brightly in the Tatooine suns.
Those are some beautiful choppers.
Again, I think to establish a clean path forward for Din Djarin as the Mandalorian. I think bringing Boba Fett back into the fold at this point is not really the right move to do. I just think that you should just give a clear runway to Din Djarin and let him fully embody the Mandalorian armor, become the only guy in the galaxy wearing it, per our perspective. That makes him special. And that just rewinds everything back to season 1 of The Mandalorian. Arguably the most successful season of The Mandalorian was season 1, when everyone was on board. It had that universal appeal we talk about so much.
Ched RFR. This is Adam in Seattle. Just had a couple of thoughts about the trailer. I do agree that a few elements of it are a bit lazy, like, the new Razor Crest does appear to be sort of a blend of the N1 and the old Crest, but really, as far as we know, he's not doing bounties anymore. Does he really need it? Also, in one shot, it looks like he has a pulse rifle again. Now, as far as firearms go, all he's had is his blaster for, since he lost the rifle. And he's, lost a couple, lost the spear to the armor and lost the Darksaber, but does he need the same rifle back? I mean, if weapons are part of his religion, shouldn't he be proficient in pretty much everything he can pick up? What about some big heavy repeater like Paz Vizsla or, just something different? Anyway, I don't know. Just giving him all his old stuff back is just kind of like whatever. And also, I think it's time for Grogu to grow up a little bit. I think he needs to start talking and doing some more stuff, I guess, instead of just saving the day and taking a nap.
Maybe his multiplication tables.
Anyway, that's about it. Love the show, guys. Thanks.
Okay.
I love Adam. Adam is like, he's just like, you could tell right from the get-go, he's a Star Wars fan who's at his wit's end with everything. He's just like, hey, guys, this is Adam. I got some thoughts on a trailer. Like right out of the gate, I'm like, oh boy, what's Adam serving up here? Now, listen, I think Adam, he's also a very well-schooled Star Wars fan. He said something very important in there when he was questioning why bring back the Razor Crest, why bring back the Mandalorian rifle, why do all that? What's the point of it? He explained the absolute reason for why this is happening in his voicemail. He said, weapons are his religion. But then Adam went off to say, why can't he just get some like heavy repeater rifle and everything? No, dude, rewind. Weapons are his religion. He has faith in the Razor Crest. He has faith in that Mandalorian, what did he call it? Repeater rifle or whatever he called it.
Pulse rifle.
It's the one with the U-shape thing at the end.
Yeah.
The barrel.
He has the disintegration bullets in there or whatever. Blasts.
Whatever. But I mean, it's like you said it yourself. Weapons are his religion. So he's not going to be just so like wishy-washy with his faith, is he? Sure, we saw him existing throughout Mandalorian season 3 with different weaponry, but maybe he felt like he felt dirty using that kind of thing, It even goes back to the Jedi thing. This weapon is your life.
All right.
Think about it in terms like that.
I've got another reason why it's necessary, I guess. If you go outside of the story and just look at it from a marketing point of view, James Bond needs his Aston Martin. James Bond needs his Walther PPK. And those things, they're banking on those things being intrinsic to the character, to the profile, to the way it's going to be marketed and merchandised with that rifle slung over his shoulder. It's a little bit about resetting the clock back to where we were with season 1. So I think someone on our our breakdown of the trailer last week likened it to the Enterprise and rebuilding the Enterprise every time it gets blown up. But I think it's about James Bond having his Aston Martin and his Walther PPK.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. That's very fair. I mean, they're just these elements of the character that appear time to time in material possessions. They're very essential to the character. What would Spidey be without his web slinging device?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're
well,
just
he got his
certain elements.
costume really ripped up in that last movie, so he has the same costume in the sequel.
Yeah. But I do think Adam was being very well schooled when he pointed out that the weapons are the religion of the Mandalorian. Dinjarin, I mean, it's been stated. Remember when he was boarding that transport and they made him remove all of his weaponry, and he made it very clear. I was like, no, you're not taking all of this from me. This is my religion, This is, my faith is locked into these material weapons. And so, I mean, you basically set us all straight in your voicemail right there. But then you let it all unravel. I mean, you should have just hung up right then when you said that. Yeah, the weapons are his religion. Of course. Click. But then you went and unraveled the whole thing after that. So call us back, Adam, and let me know if you got used to the concept.
We've all been there. Where Adam is, we've all been there.
Yeah, right. We've all been there. But just to be in that moment and then to pick up the phone and leave us a voicemail, that's like you're really preserving history right there, and I appreciate that. You're locking in a moment of time, and that's essentially what me and Jason do every week on this podcast. Sometimes you hear it, hear us. He's got the Razor Crest again. I mean, what are we running out of ideas here or what?
Yeah.
But, when you start connecting the dots, sometimes a little logic does come into play. And you said it yourself, weapons are his religion. So there's your answer right there, my friend.
All right, before we go into news headlines, take a moment and check in with all the things going on over on Patreon, Rebel Force Radio. Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio or go to the official website and click on the Patreon banner, and there you go. You'll find yourself in a world of exclusive podcasts from RFR, as well as all kinds of things, ways to communicate and talk to other Patreon members, and it's a great community. So, Jim, the coverage of RFR at Rancho Obi-Wan did not disappoint on Patreon. Tons of photo galleries and videos. So that's just a taste of some of the community aspects of RFR on Patreon. But what's the latest in terms of releases? What's cooking over there right now?
Well, we've had so much going on at RFR on Patreon throughout the entire month of September. I anticipate October will be no different. But since we last spoke to you, we've released a few things on RFR on Patreon, most notably RFR Q&A number 266, Underappreciated Scenes from Star Wars. And that's when Dominique, who we heard just earlier on the voicemail, Dominique returned to the Q&A, and he had a collection of scenes from the saga that deserve a little bit of the spotlight. We're always thinking about the big moments, the saber duels, the Mos Espa pod race, the duel on Mustafar, the trench run, the Battle of Endor, all of those things, the speeder chase. But when it comes down to it, there are a lot of great moments in Star Wars. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're a little more character-driven, but they pack an impact. They pack a wallop of an impact. And RFR VIP Dominique has a few of them that he breaks down with us on RFR Q&A number 266. Plus, we have Babu Freaks number 53, Mandalorian movie trailer freaks. And the freaks return, and we discuss the Mandalorian and Grogu film, and we share stories from RFR Rancho Obi-Wan, and so much more. It's a great time. That's real friendship there coming through on the Babu Freaks, Chicago area Star Wars fans who are buddies of mine. We get together once a month, and we talk the wars. And a very popular RFR VIP, Joe Dallas, returned to the RFR Q&A this week for RFR Q&A number 267, Star Wars inspired nachos. So this is like one of the more wacky kind of takes on Star Wars. And of course, Joe Dallas, firmly responsible for the wackiness. Most RFR listeners to the Patreon RFR Q&A show know that Joe Dallas exists primarily on a diet of nachos. The guy eats nachos wherever he goes. He's always traveling. He's all around the world. Wherever he goes, the man orders nachos. He went to Venice, Italy. I mean, could you think of a place more well-known for its local cuisine? And Joe ordered nachos. But he knows what he's talking about when it comes to nachos, and he brings us his top 10 nachos from around the world and their Star Wars representations. So he's eating these nachos and feeling Star Wars inspiration, and he applies these titles, these labels to the plates of nachos because they represent moments from the saga to him as he's devouring the plate of deep-fried tortilla chips. And that's our Joe Dallas. We also talk about RFR Rancho Obi-Wan, the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy show, and a little bit about the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer as well. So, and there's accompanying photo galleries with each one of these Q&As, along with full show video for all of our RFR All Access members. So get on board. There's so much going on and a great community to explore at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Tons of bonus podcasts, ad-free editions of the weekly RFR, full show video, and so much more. We are not prude at all when it comes to dumping content on you over at RFR on Patreon. So go there now. Support Rebel Force Radio while you're enjoying all of this great exclusive podcast, full show video, and more. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
Rebel Force Radio.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
All right. Starfighter. What do we got? We've got a couple of photos that have been released, a black and white promotional photo, and then the from the set, a colorized photo that we discussed in depth a couple of weeks ago. But other than that, we've got a cast, but everything has been short on plot. So what might the plot of this film be? I understand our own Jimmy Mack has curated some of the latest and greatest rumors. And if Mack is going to take our time with this, we know that they probably have passed his sniff test.
Mostly, I think. I'm not gonna, put my reputation on the line for all of these rumors, but it's just the stuff that I've been hearing, and I collect mentally, and then I spit it all out to you here on Rebel Force Radio. So I want to get everyone up to speed on some of these plot points that we've been made aware of that could or cannot be in the final Star Wars Starfighter. Of course, filmmaking is a creative process, and it's constantly evolving. So things get shot that end up on the cutting room floor. Things get moved around in the editing process. There's always reshoots. You never know how the story is going to eventually develop. But with that being said, I still would like to apply a little spoiler alert to this information I'm about ready to lay on you.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
There you
All
go.
right.
Don't say ain't been warned.
Yeah, right, yeah. Don't come crying to us when we tell you things like the film will be happening. The story takes place 5 years after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. So the galaxy is settled into a certain kind of existence, maybe a little bit of period of peace where the denizens of the galaxy can catch their breath, collective breath, and not live under the oppression of the First Order, the Empire. So it'll be interesting to see how the galaxy evolves in the wake of the final destruction of Palpatine, we assume.
Final,
with a period. Yeah, a very firm period there at the end. Who knows? But yeah, it seemed like everything went out, and also the galaxy rose up. It wasn't just Rey and Poe and Finn and them and the Resistance. It was an entire galaxy that took down the First Order. There's more of us, baby. There's more of us. Yeah. It took the coolness of Orlando Calrissian to unite the galaxy and bring out every ship from every shipyard and every docking bay from across the galaxy to defeat. So I'm interested to know if that kind of synergy still exists 5 years after the defeat of the First Order. Like, is it a more united galaxy? Are people moving more in lockstep?
If it's anything like our real world, that kind of unity probably lasts a good 2 or 3 days.
Right.
Right. And then they're at each other's throats again.
Right. And then those pods are floating around in the Senate chamber and all the bickering and all the division and all of this. And the politicians once again emerge as the only ones victorious while the citizens suffer under the guise of freedom. But I think this is, I don't believe that this film is going to deal with the big picture story of galactic politics or anything like that. I think it's going to be a character-driven story where it's going to be about a very specific group of individuals going through a very specific, challenging moment in their lives, which hopefully leads to a lot of action and adventure, But it doesn't need to be this big, vast, giant, It
doesn't have to be on a galactic scale, right?
Yeah, right. On a galactic scale where there's like a political landscape and there's like the entire vibrancy of the galaxy can be completely suffocated by the events of this film. I don't think it's that.
The stakes are going to be high, but not necessarily that high.
Yeah, because it's going to be about characters, not the big picture, the galactic picture. So, happening 5 years after the rise of Skywalker, new characters, a kid played by Flynn Gray, and the scoop on him is Flynn Gray's character will be a Force sensitive. So the kid will be a Force sensitive. And, maybe not really trained, but maybe with some knowledge, maybe like Jod from Skeleton Crew, where he could use the Force, but not really in a refined way. He's just a kid. But the element that makes me think he's had some training is his mother. Amy Adams is playing Flynn's mother. And it said that she is a Force sensitive, maybe Jedi. Maybe Jedi. Yeah, maybe. Like who knows? But definitely Force sensitive. I don't know if she's been trained as a Jedi or she's just simply Force sensitive, but some of the scuttlebutt is leading me to believe that she is a fully fledged Jedi. So you're wondering, well, where was she during the events of the sequel trilogy? These are always the questions that come up. Hopefully that gets resolved somehow in the narrative for Star Wars Starfighter. So, you got any questions so far, Jason? Any comments? Any questions?
So far, no. However, if this is true, and even if the intention is to keep this sort of the scope of this story somewhat small and be a very character-driven story, you're still dealing with some pretty big elements of Star Wars alchemy. So I'm starting to think, well, wait a minute. This sounds like a lot of groundwork to be laid. Are we looking at more than a standalone here? Because they keep talking that this is a standalone film. But as you're laying this stuff out, this is starting to feel like you might have yourself a saga with these story elements.
It might be the launching pad for certain elements of a saga. And I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I'll get to that in a minute. So we all know Ryan Gosling's in the film. And really, I think Ryan Gosling's participation is the thing that got this film greenlit so fast, And also because things are really stalled out in some other Star Wars productions that have been in the works, like the new Jedi Order film with Daisy Ridley. We've heard that there were, even when this film was first being kind of a buzz was starting to develop about Sean Levy being involved in a Star Wars film, it was presented to us in a way where it was like, yeah, his film is definitely going to have some tie-ins to the Rey story. So it almost seemed like to us it was a race between Sean Levy and Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and, the script that they've been working on forever. That's the one they really want to try to get right.
We called it the race for Rey because both of these filmmakers had Rey in their sights as anchoring their films.
So I think Rey may have something to do with this film, but as from what I understand, as far as Ryan Gosling goes, he is cast as Amy Adams' brother and Flynn's uncle. So he's like a military guy or a starfighter pilot of some sort. He's the type of guy who's very capable, probably most likely with a military background and somebody who could possibly be entrusted with taking Flynn Gray's Force-sensitive character and getting him to safety. And the reason that is because there are two antagonists hunting Flynn Gray, and Gosling is asked by the Amy Adams character, Flynn Gray's mother, I assume, to protect her son. And so these two antagonists are probably played by Mia Goth and Matt Smith. So they are the ones in pursuit of Flynn Gray. And it is said that Gosling is neither a Jedi nor a Force sensitive.
I think he's going to be an everyman. I think he's
like
going to
be a starfighter pilot, know.
Yeah.
And he is going to be entrusted by Amy Adams to save her son. I'm speculating off of this information that Amy Adams will probably be killed off early in the movie. Keep in mind, this is, at the end of the day, a Disney film, so a little Finding Nemo action happening here.
We got to kill Mom
killed off
in the first act for sure.
Yeah, right, So, does
Jim,
Bambi ring any bells, I mean, come on.
Still scarred. When you say that this could be the launching pad,
I
mean, don't take this so literally, but could this introduce the characters and situations that we're going to see in the Kinberg trilogy, much like Rogue One, though retroactively introduced characters and situations that went off into the original trilogy? So could this be a standalone that, as you say, introduces the elements and everything that that's going to consume us for the next maybe decade or close to it with this Kinberg trilogy?
Yeah, the way I think it's going to play out is that Starfighter will be sort of a foundation for not only the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy new Jedi Order Daisy Ridley film, but for then the Kinberg trilogy. And I'll tell you how that's all going to work out. Because there is a rumor that Daisy Ridley will make an appearance in this film, Star Wars Starfighter. There is a lot of potential for this story to tie into the upcoming Rey new Jedi Order film. So, and we also have been hearing that some Rey backstory might be explored. One rumor says we may learn about her mother having a Jedi past. So, yeah, a lot of Jedi running around. at a time when we thought they were largely abolished. But what I'm thinking is going to happen here is that this film, Star Wars Starfighter, will set up then the next Daisy Ridley Rey film. Whether it be the New Jedi Order film with Charmin Obaid-Chinoy at the helm, written by George Nolfi at this point, the third writing team to take on this screenplay. You know, first we had Damon Lindelof and his writing partner, and then we had Justin Britt, and then we had Stephen Knight, who is moved on to the Peaky Blinders film, and then I think he is now attached to some sort of franchise thing, like a Marvel.
He
or
did.
DC
There was some news about him recently.
Yeah. I didn't commit any of that to memory, but whatever. He's not working on Star Wars anymore. Although,
and there was also news. Speaking of news on Star Wars attached names, there was news about James Mangold signing a huge deal with Paramount.
I heard about this.
Yeah, and you know how far along that is in the pipeline, I don't know. I'm sure that these contracts take into account obligations that the talent has upon entering them. If I remember right, I think J.J. Abrams signed a high-profile deal not long after he worked on The Force Awakens or while he was working on it.
Well, he was already attached to Paramount when he accepted The Force Awakens, and Paramount let him do it. So I don't think these film studios are going to stand in the way of these filmmakers who really want to do something, you know, especially as big as Star Wars. If Paramount stood in the way, I'm sure J.J. Abrams would have had his lawyers do everything he could to nullify the entire contract with Paramount. And Paramount doesn't want that. They want J.J. Abrams. Yeah, go make your Star Wars movie. We'll be here waiting for you when you get back. That's how that works. And
so these aren't necessarily exclusivity deals.
Right.
They're just long-term commitments to the studio to produce a certain amount of work.
Well, the thing with Mangold is he's attached to two franchise films with DC and Swamp Thing and Lucasfilm and the Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi concept that they want to make a film. And from what I understand, that James is still fully committed to those projects, and the terminology in his contract with who did he sign with, Universal or who?
Paramount.
Paramount. It was Paramount. Right. That I understand that the language in that contract with Paramount is accepting of him, you know, fulfilling the commitments he already has on the table. But I think James wants to do some more personal projects and concepts that he's been developing on his own for years that are, not attached to any kind of franchise or any other studio. I think he wants to do some real original stuff, and he's looking at Paramount to be the place for him to create those films when he's done with Swamp Thing and Star Wars. So, I mean, it might not be another decade until we see James Mangold's contribution to Paramount, but it'll happen.
By the way, Stephen Knight, I got that. How could we forget? He's writing the next Bond film.
The Bond, of course.
Yes.
The Bond. Yeah, he got attached to that one. So, and that's coming in 2028?
Yeah. They keep pushing that one down the line.
No. They're taking their time with that. You got to appreciate that. There's none of this rush like there was with the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy was really under the gun from day one, and that's why I think we see a little bit of sloppiness in the storytelling. But and the cohesiveness of the entire trilogy is non-existent. But whatever. So we got the Mia Goth stuff. Matt Smith, his character is said to be playing a military general. So he's like someone locked into some, maybe First Order, or maybe there's some sort of splinter military force, militia or something Matt Smith is involved in. So, and the big rumor
Palpatine clone?
Well, those were the rumors that he was supposed to be playing the clone of Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker before his character was eliminated, and they did a rewrite on the whole thing, but As far as Ryan Gosling goes, the rumor is he will be on a mission to deliver Flynn Gray, Amy Adams' son, to the new Jedi Academy, which is possibly run by Rey. So you'll see Rey at the end of the film.
Okay.
And then that will set up the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy film, which will probably happen around the same period of time. And then you'll jump 5 years into the future, 10 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, for the Simon Kinberg trilogy. That's my personal speculation on what's happening.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So then there is a lot of pressure on this Charmin Obaid-Chinoy film to get underway, because we know that the Kinberg trilogy, there's work happening on that. They're working on scripts. They're full steam ahead, and yet it seems like the Rey film has been stalled.
Yes. Well, stalled, tripped up at the very least. Extremely tripped up. So we could be looking at a whole brand new race for Rey between Charmin Obaid-Chinoy and Simon Kinberg. If Kinberg is like, hey, I got a trilogy ready to go here with Rey, they're not going to be waiting for George Nolfi and Charmin Obaid-Chinoy to get their you-know-what together.
I bet we see another Mando Grogu film in theaters before we see the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy and or Kinberg trilogy start.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Fingers crossed that is the case. The way that'll happen is if the Mandalorian Grogu is successful.
Of course, yeah.
And nowadays, it's not even like, you could have a great opening weekend, but if you have a drop-off in that second weekend...
Boy, they're all about that drop-off.
Yeah.
That's
well,
the
especially with Fantastic Four, especially, that could make or break the future of any film franchise these days. You got to have the legs. If you could get that successful second weekend, that will ensure then you have the legs, and your history will be bright. But Fantastic Four didn't experience that. And I think the future is bleak for Fantastic Four as a standalone film franchise.
Right.
Of course, I ranted and raged about that. Hey, speaking of Marvel, Eva Mendes, the lovely Eva Mendes, who was the Ghost Rider's girlfriend in the original Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider film.
Oh, I forgot about that movie. Jeez.
Oh, that's a guilty pleasure of mine. About it. That is a guilty pleasure of mine that you wouldn't believe.
Oh, Ghost Rider movie.
I loved that movie when it came out. I sat there in the theater with a big you-know-what eating grin on my face the whole time I was watching that thing. But it's rumored that Eva Mendes, who is Ryan Gosling's girlfriend, longtime girlfriend, very serious, she is rumored to be starring in Star Wars Starfighter as his on-screen wife. So she will be appearing
that's nice.
As his wife. She's not done much acting in like the last dozen years. She's kind of like semi-retired at this point. But when Star Wars comes a knocking, you gotta answer that call. So that's about it as far
Those
as
are some
like
good
stuff.
rumors. I think nothing
Those
you
are good
said,
rumors.
Jim, seems way out of whack or out of line.
Right. It all seems plausible, right?
Very plausible. Yeah, very plausible.
The only other, it's a behind-the-scenes rumor I have. The film is being shot by Oscar-winning cinematographer Claudio Miranda. And Claudio won an Oscar for Life of Pi. Claudio also shot The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Tron Legacy, Top Gun Maverick, and the recent F1 The Movie. So you're going to get a real talented guy behind the camera. And, that's something that shouldn't be overlooked when it comes to some of the more shot Star Wars things that we've seen, at least in streaming,
Right.
It's like the Acolyte could have really used a Claudio Miranda. But they're $500 million went elsewhere. Who knows where? It went elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's Star Wars Starfighter, set to hit theaters on May 28th, 2027. We'll be there.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what also has people talking right now is Ahsoka Season 2. Jim, last we heard was that it was in front of cameras, and we're thinking that we're going to see maybe, as you were speculating, a late 2026 release for this. Still TBD on what ramifications this could have for other projects. The theatrical, I think a lot of people, we've been talking about a little bit tonight, what impact this might have on Mandalorian and Grogu. We know they take place at the same time period. There's opportunity for cross-promotion of characters and things. But what do we know exactly as far as Ahsoka Season 2? Because I'm not really seeing much in the headlines.
Well, as far as I know, this week wraps up the end of principal photography. Last week they had a wrap party. Rosario Dawson was posting photos from it. So you have to assume a lot of the major stars like Rosario have wrapped up principal photography. There probably will be pickup shoots, in a studio somewhere down the road. But that's all we know, is that it just wrapped, or it is wrapping this week, and there still is no word on when the series is going to drop on Disney+, but I'm speculating late summer, early fall. And one thing that was revealed at LA Comic-Con during the Bryce Dallas Howard panel, she did confirm that she is going to be directing some episodes of Ahsoka Season 2, and she just kind of discussed her overall feelings and vibes for the upcoming Season 2.
I just finished shooting 2 episodes this summer for Ahsoka Season 2. Y'all, it's so good. It is so good. It is beautiful. It is thrilling. It is adventurous. It is romantic. It is all the things that you want from an epic story. And I adore Dave Filoni. I would do anything for and with Dave Filoni. He's an extraordinary leader and visionary, and he's super funny, and the guy
and
knows
I want
what
more
he's
Star
talking
Wars
about.
work.
And so yes, I just got to finish that up and working on the cut, and it is just one of the greatest privileges and joys of my life, getting to play in that sandbox.
Woo! I love these guys who get overly excited over nothing at the conventions,
Yeah.
Woo!
All right, let's try it, Jim. Here, you be that guy. The movie has it's a Star Wars film. It has lots of adventure,
woo,
excitement,
woo,
thrilling characters,
woo, 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 woo.
and it's the honor of my life to be attached to it.
You suck. Hey. Woo!
I love that guy. He's so easy to make happy.
Oh, he's so easy to make happy.
He's had some convention center beers. He's like us.
Maybe too many. So that's, the first statements we've actually heard from a creative regarding Ahsoka Season 2 since Star Wars Celebration Japan. And we know Ahsoka Season 2 is going to be focused on this big war of all wars with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
The
Admiral
War of
Akbar is going to be in
We're gonna
it.
get some war back in Star Wars. Bro.
Yeah,
what do you
how about
think?
I mean, when you think about the mix of potential combatants in this battle, you're talking about the New Republic. You're talking about Ezra, a Jedi, or a very, almost Jedi.
Almost Jedi.
I mean, do we ever consider Ezra to be like a Jedi? I mean, is it, I know a lot of people I think do just kind of casually, but I mean, does Ezra consider himself a Jedi? I think that's the real question we need to ask.
Well, what is the requirement? I mean, growing up as a fan of the OT, Yoda says to Luke, then, only then, after you confront Vader, a Jedi will you be. And confront him you will. There was no room for any doubt with Yoda.
Yeah, it's the concept of the Jedi trials.
Yes.
Which Padawans go through. And However, the Jedi trials have never really ever been defined. And it almost seems like there is no definition for them. It's like a case-by-case basis. So for Luke, it was confronting Vader.
Yeah.
For Ezra, riding a space whale into another galaxy might do the trick,
Sure. Leading the charge against Grand Admiral Thrawn in a galactic war. Maybe, is that good enough for you, Jedi Council? Anything else I can do for you? I like to think that Luke, though, was like, okay, in this long line of Jedi over thousands of years, they had to go through these trials, which when you hear about them spoken in the prequel films and in the comics, you think that it's almost like an initiation of some sort.
Yeah.
But Luke, he has to kill his own father. Like, it feels a little lopsided to me.
Yeah,
Luke's
right.
Trial seems a bit extreme.
What do you mean I gotta kill my father?
And everyone else is like running an obstacle course. And
Ezra rode a whale into another galaxy. That's easier than killing your own father. And the Emperor has already won. Oh, now you're laying that on me.
Well, if you're going to be a big baby about it, then I suppose the Emperor's won.
Jeez, can you put more pressure on a guy? Luke, you cannot be such a crybaby wuss. Then the Emperor has already won.
He says it was such disappointment. It's such disappointment and judgment. I can't do it, Ben. I can't kill my own father. Then I guess the movie's over, right? You're giving up.
All the good guys are effed. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for nothing. Well, you're laying a lot on me here, Ben. You're really dumping a lot on me here. Well, then the Emperor's already won. You've said that 5 times now.
Rebel Force Radio.
All right, well, here we go. We do have a trailer to take a look at. This is the brand new trailer for Star Wars Visions. This is Volume 3, a.k.a. Season 3, coming out on October 29th, 2025. That's not very long, just a couple days before Halloween. We'll be enjoying some brand new Star Wars. And as always, they drop this all at once. This isn't a drip release. 9 new anime-style short films. And as we said earlier, only a Japanese animation studios for this one, some returning ones, and some new participants as well. 3 of the shorts will continue stories from the very first volume. The Duel, The Village Bride, and The Ninth Jedi all receive follow-ups in Volume 3. And as Jim mentioned, too, the Star Wars The Ninth Jedi is going to have its own story. We don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be 1 season, 3 episodes, 10 episodes, 20 episodes, but it's going to have its own spin-off.
That's what we hear.
Right.
And that's all we heard. I mean, we haven't heard anything about the series since Star Wars Celebration Japan, but I think that's fair because you want to get Visions out there first before you start really hyping up things about a Ninth Jedi series. But from what I can recall, Volume 1 of Star Wars Visions, that Ninth Jedi seemed to be the one short that really had some solid potential as far as taking the story into the future. It's about these young Force users who, this one specific Force user who found a stash of lightsabers, and that drew the attention of all kind of Force users across the galaxy, most of them kind of dipping their toe into the dark side of the Force. So that became a real challenge as the character was trying to kind of like unite Jedi, and the exact opposite happened. She got kind of scammed and had to deal with the fallout of all that. The Duel was that great black and white Jedi Ronin story.
Now, that's one that I thought would have ended up being having a spin-off.
Yeah, because we got some early scoop, some insider scoop about the spin-off series for Visions, and we thought, based on the descriptions of things we were being told, it was going to be that Ronin Jedi. And also the fact that the Ronin Jedi received some love via a comic book,
That's right.
standalone comic book, and a novel. So we just saw, well, the next natural step forward for the Ronin Jedi would be his own series. And it seemed like that would be the one I'd want to see the most. But the Ninth Jedi story does, I think it has a lot of potential. It's got legs.
Yes.
So we'll see how the second
The
part
Ronin
goes.
could have just been the same. Lone Jedi meets a bad guy every episode, kicks his butt, goes on to the next episode. But you're right. The Ninth Jedi, that was setting up a lot of things.
Yeah. So they released a trailer. We don't need to go too in depth into it, but let's just let it roll and maybe react to some of the things we see going on here in the trailer for Star Wars Visions Season 3. So again, opening up with the Ronin Jedi, the black and white, largely black and white. There's color elements to it.
Bright with possibility.
And then we see like all those little, we've seen that before in Star Wars in the Clone Wars when Yoda goes on his vision quest and he experiences these like luminous orbs that swirl around him. So it's not really uncommon for us to see this in Star Wars. We saw it in Clone Wars Season 6. I'm just assuming that this is some sort of manifestation of the Force, these green glowing orbs that whatever this character is encountering.
I don't know. You know what I see in this shot is, in addition to the orbs, I see like bridges or a bridge. This could be world between worlds stuff.
Oh,
perhaps.
It could, like a wormhole that gets opened up in reality and you step through it. It's like a force fissure.
Yeah. But you're right. It's made up of these orbs, but I definitely see some sort of a bridge maybe that's cutting across, possibly.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. We'll find out in a month.
It seems so bright with possibility.
So bright with possibilities. These
All right, we gotta.
orbs. That look like the Razor Crest a little bit.
Yeah, that's what for a second I was like, whoa. Is that the new crest? But no, it's different enough.
I mean, why not? A Mandalorian anime? I think that would be kick-ass. But it seems like it seems like these Star Wars Visions anime studios are really locked into like ancient Jedi kind of stuff, you know, as opposed to original trilogy or what have you. It's always about these ancient alternate reality Jedi, and that gets a little tiresome after a while when you consider things like The Mandalorian, like the original trilogy, like the battle between the Empire and the Rebels. You know, those are things that I would like to see exploited a little bit more than these random alternate ancient Jedi stories.
That stuff could also be off limits to the creators too.
Maybe,
possibly.
Yeah, it seems like there's so much potential.
Ooh, was that a stormtrooper here? What was this? Oh, some sort of trooper that's being blown apart.
I'm seeing
I'm seeing
now.
Armor. I see a cod piece and a belt, like almost like he's being ripped apart here.
So we might get some stormtrooper action in here. How about an anime about just stormtroopers? Yeah, these are elements of Star Wars that I feel are just getting ignored by Star Wars Visions as they obsess over just the Jedi element. And maybe that has something to do with the samurai and the Japanese obsession with those stories. And I mean, I don't know if anime is often featuring like feudal Japan type elements.
I see a lot of boobs in my anime.
Maybe we'll see some boobs in this, you know. I would be down with that, you know, like an anime about Ula from Jabba's palace and her boobs, you know.
Yeah. Or Yarna.
That
she had like 6 boobs.
She had 6 boobs.
I mean, those anime creators were going to love this.
There's so much you can do.
6 giant boobs. Okay. And then, this is very quintessential, anime. What do they call this? Chibi? These chibis or whatever with the little, they've got that look.
Yeah, with the giant eyes.
Yes.
And it looked like that character was in the cockpit.
Oh, now we're seeing something cool. Okay, yeah, we saw that. Yeah, this is clearly a cockpit of I think, some sort of a fighter, because you've got the targeting going on that you can see in the reflection of it.
Yeah, maybe an X-Wing.
Yeah.
Because if you look behind, you could almost see the wings, sort of, I guess. And then we are in, there's a blaster battle in some sort of factory.
Now, Jim, this looks like, this looks to me like Rebel fleet troopers a little bit.
Oh, like on board the Rebel blockade runner?
Yeah. And
maybe.
then they're squaring off against, I think, some troopers, some stormtroopers.
Okay, then maybe
this could be that one that we saw earlier.
Maybe we'll get some good old-fashioned original trilogy elements in Star Wars Visions Season 3 in an anime style.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love how you're zooming in on these particular elements of the trailer, because that's something I certainly wasn't doing when I was watching it. So
yeah.
You had a whole different perspective on it. I love it.
And some sort of claw that's coming down. So I don't know if they're in a shipyard or some sort of factories, something like that.
Right on. Yeah.
All right. So this definitely was getting people talking. So this device, like how many blades does your lightsaber have?
Yeah, right. It's this wild. I counted probably about 10.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 blade. It's a 9-bladed device that, like a gauntlet, that slips over your wrist, and then you can just thrust it forward, and it opens up like an umbrella. And all of the different blades, there's more. I think there's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I counted 13 blades on there.
13 blades.
It looks like that's a Twi'lek wielding this. I mean, I don't know if we can call it a saber, but it's red bladed, and she does encounter someone attacking her with a saber blade. So this is a duel.
This is like augmenting her actual hand. This isn't something she's holding. This is actually a part of her. She's a mod. She's been modded out.
It could be something she slips her hand into.
That's true. It could be.
And it expands into all of these crazy saber blades. And the saber blades look rather small to me.
Yeah.
But there are just so many of them. It creates this effect against the guy, lunging at her with the blue saber. It's almost impenetrable for the blue saber to get through all of those 13 little mini red sabers. So that'll be interesting to check out. And I think that's the Jedi Ronin once again. I don't know.
I'll see your 2 blades, and I'll raise you 11.
Yeah, because there were similar insane lightsaber devices in the original Jedi Ronin from Star Wars Vision Season 1. Yeah.
All right.
And then they named all the studios. I never heard of none of them. None of them mean nothing to me.
Logo soup here.
Yeah, if you're an anime freak, I'm sure this means something.
Okay. Now I can get into this. All right. We got X-Wings.
Yeah. So this looks very similar to the old G-Force Battle of the Planets show, which was always was the one anime that felt very Star Wars inspired. And I recall watching Battle of the Planets when I was a kid in the late 70s, early 80s, I think it was early 80s when it dropped, just getting off on the Star Wars vibes of the whole thing. And now to see a very similar animation style being used to show off 5, 6 X-Wing flying into what is surely some intense battle, that gives me a lot of hope that, we will see original trilogy stuff happening in Star Wars Vision Season 3 once again. So maybe it's all part of the same singular short, or there will be some original trilogy vibes throughout the entire series. I don't know. But I love seeing X-Wings in this anime style. It looks so.
Me too. This style actually gives me a little bit some flashbacks of the Genndy Tartakovsky series. Very simple lines. So, yeah, who also did Samurai Jack, which was clearly influenced by anime.
Yes.
There are some things you can believe in.
Oh, there's our. We've seen this character before, I believe, haven't we?
Oh, is she the one from the short that was called The Village Bride? Now, that one, that didn't make an impact on me, Village Bride. But we're going to see a sequel to that in Star Wars Vision Season 3. So maybe she's wielding a yellow saber, which is odd and interesting. Yeah. Then we see some creature out on like a Mos Espa street. No, that's Mos Eisley, clearly, because you see the starship behind her, that, the downed ship.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, so that's clearly Mos Eisley. Maybe we'll go back to the cantina. Wouldn't it be fun to revisit the Mos Eisley cantina anime style? I think so, and I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, that character that you see whizzing around in the background, I think that's the one that we saw earlier that we speculated was flying an X-Wing when you had the targeting. Okay. I'm just thinking that that's what it is. And that the irony is going to be you're going to see this close-up of this helmeted face with the goggles, and you're going to see the targeting computer, and then it's going to be revealed that it's just a kid running around on some sort of little speeder playing.
Oh, baby. Oh, okay. Like the visions we see of the X-Wings and everything, that's all in this kid's imagination. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Ronan's got a Wookiee. Check this out.
Yeah.
Because this looks like the Ronin with the black and white. Oh, and you can see he's got the man bun back there. Oh, geez. Yeah. And a couple of Ewoks.
A couple Ewoks. So Ewoks return. It's so rare. When you think about Ewoks and their history in Star Wars, despite being as well known as they are, we've seen very few returns to the Ewok village since the TV films of the mid-'80s.
Yep.
Ewoks have not really been featured at all in any sort of Star Wars animation or live action, outside of the end of Rise of Skywalker when you see Wicket and
for a second.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for half a second. But I mean, here we see Ewoks actually becoming part of a story, I think, an element within the Star Wars Ronin empire, or not empire, but
well, we all got Ewok fever when we were at the Forest Moon Festival, and Kyle Newman was making all kinds of threats to make the third Ewok movie, since it's got to be a trilogy. We can't just leave it at 2. We got to have a third one.
Knowing Kyle as well as we do, and understanding his passion, drive, and ambition, I don't think he was blowing smoke at all. I am eagerly anticipating the Kyle Newman helmed Ewok Adventure 3. And it ain't going to be made for TV. It's going to be a hard R in the, it's going to be a hard R-rated film.
All right, more logos. All right, was this? We got a snow planet here. Yep, looks like maybe a snow planet with some northern lights.
Yes, definitely.
Some sort of speeder, and it's got a sidecar. A sidecar
with an R2 unit riding shotgun. I think that's a very cool image.
That is a cool image. Cool concept.
Orange-haired pilot of the speeder bike. And, so Ginger's kicking ass in Star Wars. This is some sort of droid. Looks like attacking with throwing a hockey puck at somebody who slices the hockey puck in half with a green lightsaber. I get General Grievous vibes off of the character who throws the hockey puck, and whether or not it actually is a hockey puck is debatable. But that's what it looks like.
Maybe that's Dirge next to him. Who knows? He has kind of a dirgy look. Remember that guy?
So
Dirge.
We're definitely dealing with some underworld, the baby bounty hunters. hunting a Jedi. And I predict an Order 66 storyline attached to this imagery here. So, yeah.
All right. We have someone waking up and someone scaling a mountain here with a green lightsaber.
And what looks like vastly incredible animation.
Oh, yeah.
Spinning around with the green saber, slicing down. And here we see the studios, once again, who are responsible for all of this. Very anime-looking style of these two characters kicking down a door, straight-legged and powerful.
Maybe one a droid here. Possibly.
Shogun Warriors vibes by that. There's that Razor Crest ship again. We're only
just going to take a look at this.
Oh, interesting. Look at you zooming in on this stuff. We really get to see some character detail here. Obviously, a droid or a cyborg of some type with someone else wearing a mask over her nose and mouth. And she's got the bare midriff, very, very Padme style, with the big kick to the door. And there's that Razor Crest-esque ship again, obviously involved in some sort of space battle. Then we see a trio of characters riding in a speeder. Looking very Star Wars, I would say. Very anime, yes, but very Star Wars. Yep. Very Star Wars. Again, this might be happening on Mos Eisley, in Mos Eisley.
This definitely looks like Luke's model of the land speeder.
Yeah, definitely vibes of that. And then they're
going off a cliff. They're doing Thelma and Louise. Look at this. Yeah. Here they go.
They're doing Thelma and Louise right off the cliff. But that's interesting.
Now, this is it. This looks like something out of, I don't know, Justice League animation or something. This looks like, Lex Luthor's underground or underwater ship, but it's a space vessel.
Yeah, it looks Star Wars-y to me, kind of like a TIE fighter without the solar panels, but instead there's a pod in the center, and then there's this 8-shooter cannon on either side where the solar panels would be, and they're obviously shooting off proton torpedoes at whatever target.
When I saw this, I immediately thought, oh, we're underwater, but no, this is just, we're not in space. We're in orbit of, or in atmosphere, rather, of some planet. Okay. There's that old lady again from the land speeder.
Yeah.
Hugging a wall. An explosion goes off.
9 epic stories.
Oh,
now, here's a beautiful
what's
shot
going on
of
here?
a Star Destroyer coming out of hyperspace. That's probably the most beautiful shot of the whole thing. We get about 3 frames of it in the actual trailer.
Geez, this doesn't even look like animation. This looks like they took it right out of the movie.
Yeah, it looks great. And
wow.
There's all kind of scrambling around going on here with various characters. All right, let's just let it roll and get to the end of this thing, because I got to talk about the Mandalorian this week.
Of course.
I mean, we're kind of out of time. We see some AT-ATs.
AT-ATs, yep.
Yada, yada. R2 units. October 29th is when the show debuts. Some of this animation looks absolutely stunning and beautiful. More Ewoks in the Ronin Jedi.
And the Ewok sounds, too.
Yeah.
They're classic Ewok
drums.
sounds.
So there's a lot to look forward to in this show. We're seeing all kind of great elements of Jedi versus dark side, or light side versus dark side, more Jedi Ronin. Lots of action. The animation in some of these are just so incredibly rich, and in other times it looks like very flat 2D animation and traditional anime style. So I think we're going to be getting a variety of different kind of animation tone and style, and how it all comes together as we watch all 9 episodes back to back to back. That's the real trick, is trying to make this whole thing flow to be one nice viewing experience, as opposed to watching it in piecemeal, where you say, oh, I watched one, I'll get back to the rest later. I think it works most effectively if it flows as a great compilation of Star Wars stories. So I look for things like that, you know, the way they roll it all out. I anticipate it'll be very similar to season 1. I will bet you anything the Ronin Jedi will be episode 1 of season 3.
It is.
Much like the Ronin Jedi was episode 1 of season 1.
It is actually called The Duel Payback. Is what it is.
And the original one was just called The Duel. So,
Right.
yeah, we're going to be seeing a little bit of rinse and repeat with this particular series. But
Yeah.
I think that might benefit it a little bit because I don't think we'll be going into it blindly as viewers like we did with season 1. There's a
it
little
looks
bit of
like
history
the
here.
3 follow-ups will be the first 3 episodes of Volume 3, The Duel Payback, The Lost Ones, which is a continuation of The Village Bride, and then The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope, which is the follow-up to The Ninth Jedi, and then the rest of them appear to be brand new characters, new things. Jim, one that you might be interested in, they said this last one, this is Black. It's a psychedelic experimental piece centered on the psyche of an Imperial stormtrooper, blending visuals and music. So, psychedelic, baby. All going into
not
the
only
head
that, though,
of an
it was-
Imperial stormtrooper.
Earlier, I did say I was kind of pining for an anime story just focused on the stormtroopers.
Yep, and we're going to get it.
You drop a little psychedelia into it and some good jams. Sign me up. Sign me up, my friend. That's right. That's right. So can we get to a little bit of Lego Rebuild the Galaxy too?
let's do
Because
that.
there's a few momentous things that happened with this silly. I mean, really, this Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. It's just as with all the Lego shows, they're silly, they're childish, and they're a ton of fun. There are some, real nice little nods to deep cuts in the history of Star Wars and things to satisfy us as fans. Sometimes I think it gets a little too cutesy. It gets a little too meta. It gets a little too self-aware.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, look, this is a Star Wars thing. Look at us. Oh, boy, Star Wars. Da, 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 da. Yeah. It's like,
look
my
at
God,
me.
STFU.
I'm Star Warsing.
The worst part about it for me was when Mark Hamill says, as Luke Skywalker, he says, "May the Force be with you." And then the character, I think, is Dev.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dialogue on the script must have read like this. Squee. Squee. He said it. He said the thing. And it's like, really, are we going to just continue to diminish any sort of integrity Star Wars has by being so self-aware and meta about everything that's going on that you have to do that kind of schlocky shtick when it comes to a great line like "May the Force be with you"? I mean, why are we going to strip all the relevance of that line away from the saga? Squee! He said it. He said the thing. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I'm so sick of that kind of crapola that gets dumped on Star Wars and throughout pop culture in general,
Yeah.
The meta, the
this
self-aware.
This is what you call just some good old-fashioned Star Wars content. That's what this was for me. It was not, we're not talking about meaningful contributions to the saga. This is having fun, just like Lego does. That's what Lego does. You dump all the toys out and mix it up. And the whole Rebuild the Galaxy concept is sort of inverting things. Yes, there were some moments that I found to be very clever, very funny, but for the most part, it kind of lost, I think, some of the charm of the first one. I thought, and when I think back to how we felt about the first one, what was that? That was just a year ago, the first Rebuild the Galaxy. it was charming and like they had a real story to tell. And this one felt more like your typical Lego where it's like, how many gags can we throw in and one-liners? And so I think that it just fell into itself a little bit too much instead of, you know, some of the charm of the characters that they introduced. And I like that, you know, the two brothers had to work together. I like that there was a redemption angle, but it was just thrown in the midst of just too many references and just too many too fast.
Self-aware.
It became a distraction. Yeah, self-aware is a great way to put it. You know, he said the thing. That one, I actually wrote a note about that one. I hated that.
Oh, God. I mean, it's just like, that sucks me out of it more than anything, is the self-awareness about what's happening, what we're seeing, and making a joke of it all. And I say to myself, really, my 50 years of fandom has just been boiled down to some stupid joke to you people?
They gotta watch that. They gotta watch that because that is, I don't think that's their intent, but I definitely think it's certainly a way to interpret it. Yes.
It's a bad angle. It's a bad angle. And I'm getting kind of tired of it too because it's been driven into the ground way too much. But let's talk about some really momentous things that happened as a result of Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. The big thing to me is that after years of us accepting the unofficial nickname for Grogu, Baby Yoda finally gets set on screen in a Star Wars production. I mean, sure, it's not exactly something I consider hard canon, but and sure, Lego gets away with whatever they want, which is such, you know, really when you start thinking about that, that's such a weird thing. It's such an anomaly when it comes to the tight grip that Lucasfilm has had on Star Wars all these years with their story group and all of the levels of clearance you have to go through just to get anything to happen. I heard a story recently about a Star Wars comic book writer talking about how he featured Luke Skywalker fishing in a story, you know, just it's like a couple panels, the guy's fishing.
Right.
And they said, you can't do that. Lucasfilm said that to him. This was prior to the release of The Last Jedi. And it was because Luke goes fishing in The Last Jedi, they told him he couldn't feature Luke Skywalker fishing in the pages of a Star Wars comic book.
Only we can tell the story of Luke fishing.
The fans have waited 45 years to see a character who grew up on a planet completely covered by deserts fishing. How dare you steal our thunder? That's our big splash.
Yes, we're going to invert your expectations. Desert planet, now fishing, living in a lot of water. The irony, right?
But
Surrounded
I'm just using,
by water.
Exactly. But I'm just using that as an example of like how tight-fisted they've been with all of these storytelling elements.
Fisted. I was thinking tight-assed they've been.
Well, I mean, you know, whatever. Maybe the fist is up the ass. Who knows? But the thing is that I've been told this. I mean, I can think back to a conversation I had with a Lucasfilm story group member, who I won't name, back in 2014. And he told me flat out, Lego can do whatever they want.
Yep.
And I was like, how? Why? I've never given an explanation why Lego has this exclusivity to basically twist Star Wars inside out and do whatever they want with it. Well, I figured out the reasons. It's probably, you know, mad hard cash. But it just seems it's a real.
They even said, well, that's Lego canon. Lego canon. Yeah.
And that's just a weird inconsistency with the brand management of Star Wars. No matter how you boil it down, it's an odd, strange, bizarre inconsistency with the way they manage this stuff. But that's just how it is.
One exception. Yeah.
So I just want to point out, though, that after all of these years of us calling him Baby Yoda, after Jon Favreau has gone on the record frustrated He's not Yoda. Why do you call him Baby Yoda? Well, we call him that because he's a Baby Yoda.
Because we don't have a name for Yoda species.
Exactly.
So they're all Yodas. We even called Yaddle. Look, it's a female Yoda.
Right.
Before we knew she was Yaddle. Which I guess we should have guessed that she was.
So finally, they incorporate Baby Yoda into the dialogue of a Star Wars production. And in this case, it's Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2. And here is that magic moment when Baby Yoda finally gets said, not once but twice, by a character in a Star Wars production, albeit Lego.
Did you hear that?
What is that thing?
Oh, is that a Baby Yoda? Hey there, little one. You're so cute. Yes, you are, with your big old eyes and your big old ears and your green, wrinkly old man skin.
He's so cute. I can't take it.
I can't even meditate in peace. What is going on out here?
We found a Baby Yoda.
The baby's name is Grogu, baby. Cute, isn't he? I mean, who can resist that face?
That was the best line in the whole show was the baby's name is Grogu, baby.
Yes, of course, the Mandalorian making his debut, voiced by Billy D. Williams, which is so brilliant. And that line that he delivers on his debut is like so Crevassier soaked. You know, is the baby's name is Grogu, baby. You know, it's just Crevassier soaked. It's Colt 45 infused.
So good.
Baby's name is Grogu, baby. Yeah. I've stumbled across Billy D. Williams at conventions when he's been in that exact frame of mind. Baby's Grogu, baby. So, man, it was so great to hear Billy D. Williams once again reprise his role as Lando Calrissian. And as the Mandalorian, with the helmet off, they don't fool around. He's not a young Lando. This is an older Lando. This is appropriate for the age of the voice actor Billy D. Williams. Baby.
So, yeah. And with that, we have the return
of the Billy D. quote of the week.
This is Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian. It's time for the quote of the week.
All right, I don't have to ask you what you brought for us this week. We know what you brought. It's not just a clip from Rebuild the Galaxy, but a little montage, right?
That's right, baby. I got a Billy D. Williams montage. Of course, Billy D. Williams returned to voice the role of Lando Calrissian, this time in the guise of the Mandalorian for Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. So I took every line of dialogue he has. And by the way, the standout highlight moment of the entire 4-episode series is the Mandalorian and Billy D. Williams, because it leads into this really action-packed sequence aboard the Lego Death Star, which I think was just I froze in my tracks when that moment happened. I just thought it was really a great, very wonderful, exciting, energetic moment in the entire thing. And of course, you have Billy D. as a Mandalorian in action throughout the whole thing. So what I did was I took every line of dialogue from Billy D. Williams as the Mandalorian. I took it down into the Rebel Force Radio Sound Lab, completely isolated all of the lines of dialogue. It's almost like as if we're in the recording session with Billy D. Williams himself as he is bringing the Mandalorian to life. Baby. And it's a really great and very close look at and listen to the brilliant voice acting to Billy D. Williams, how old is he? Like 85 years old now? And he's still active, and he's still going in the recording studio and laying down such choice lines of dialogue like he did for The Mandalorian. So check this out.
I'm the Mandalorian. I'll be the administrator of this beatdown. The baby's name is Grogu, baby. Cute, isn't he? I mean, who can resist that face? This is the way. My way. Let's get them on the ship, baby. Sorry to interrupt your groovy party, but it's time for us to collect our bounty. You paid for the best, and we delivered. Nothing we hate more than a slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler. This is not the way. This deal's getting worse all the time, isn't it, baby? Not bad, kid. If you're ever on Mandalore, look us up. You ever party with a mythosaur?
Well, we know the Mandalorian does.
That's
baby.
The price of admission right there. You ever party with a mythosaur? That's
right.
I did like the Snoke bit. That made me laugh. That made me chuckle because Snoke doesn't get a whole lot of love when it comes to some of these parodies, and I think he's just ripe for parody, especially with what a punk he ended up being in the end. You know, that was the biggest, when you think back on Snoke, that was the biggest troll that has ever been trolled to fans in a film. That character was nothing but a troll.
Rian Johnson was set up with such a softball to drive out of the park because all he had to do in the middle of The Last Jedi, just Snoke reveals himself to be Darth Plagueis. He said, because we knew Darth Plagueis could cheat death and he thought he could save the people he loved, but he could only apply everlasting life to himself, Right. That was like the only thing he could do. So, I mean, it's all been like, it was perfectly set up, the foundation for Snoke to have that reveal as Darth Plagueis. It was the biggest error since Bill Buckner in the 1986 World Series when he let that ball go through his legs. I mean, it was Rian Johnson, man. Ryan. And everyone at Lucasfilm was just like good with that, Yeah. Pablo was good with that. Not the Pablo Hidalgo I know. It was just like, these guys get castrated and they're afraid to say anything. They don't want to rock the boat. Oh, Kathy Kennedy likes it. Oh, well, I better step in line then, It's like nobody raised the red flag or anything. Well, there's other directions we can go with this. Did anybody say anything?
Right.
Did anybody ask Rian Johnson for a second draft? Did that even happen? The answer is no. It didn't happen.
No, because we were told everything that Ryan did was perfect.
It was perfect.
He was the perfect collaborator. He was the perfect director. He was the perfect writer. He was the perfect person to deliver that story. So much so that before the film had even seen the light of day, we got to give this guy a whole trilogy. He can't bottle his Star Wars genius into one film. We got to give him a whole trilogy.
Well, and I don't think anything is further evidence to present to the courtroom about the absolute disconnection that the makers of the sequel trilogy had with Star Wars and the fan base and logic. I mean, it was all just thrown right out the window, and a lot of hubris was fueling this because J.J. Abrams turned in The Force Awakens, which turned into a huge moneymaker. But everybody thought that they were so brilliant for what JJ developed. Everyone at Lucasfilm thought they were the brilliance behind all that. Meanwhile, JJ produced the Force Awakens really away from Lucasfilm with Bad Robot. That's a Bad Robot production more than a Lucasfilm production, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So Lucasfilm wanted to take it all back with Rian Johnson. And that's why JJ, really, when it was first conceived, JJ was going to direct the entire trilogy.
Yep.
And that's the way it should have been. But Lucasfilm got frosty because JJ isolated himself during the production of the film with Bad Robot. So they wanted to take it all back. And look at Rian Johnson. Oh boy, he moved out to San Francisco and he comes to Lucasfilm every other week to have meetings with the story team and with Kathy. And so they can make it all this committee-driven Star Wars drivel that doesn't connect to anything before it or after it. Yet fans want to die on The Last Jedi hill. There are still those fans out there who insist it was the greatest thing that ever happened to Star Wars. Well, guess what, you guys? Star Wars is still trying to recover from The Last Jedi. So, whatever, you know. I mean, it is what it is. You can't turn back time. But there's still plenty of Star Wars projects in the work that might actually be able to add some substance to the sequel trilogy retroactively.
You can't turn back time, but you can and should learn from the past. So let's learn from it. I also kind of liked Pirate Queen Amidala. That was pretty fun.
Oh, there were moments.
Rebuild the galaxy.
There were moments. I really did enjoy that Death Star, that Lego Death Star thing, though. I was just like, wow.
And talk about merchandising. That hits right as everyone is waiting to get their hands, well, not everyone. Those that can afford it are waiting to get their hands on that big Death Star set. 1,000 and some pieces. By the way, speaking of collecting, something we didn't get a chance to talk to. I don't know if you saw the news or heard the news. We've been talking about it on our own Jedi Council. Hasbro officially increasing the prices on the two major lines of Star Wars figures. That's right. So we've got a official $19.99 price point for the vintage collection. And the Black Series, that's from $16.99, going up to $19.99. And the Black Series going up also $3, $24.99 to $27.99.
Yeah, that's the death of the industry right there. I mean, really,
$20 for a 4-inch figure, man. That
ain't gonna happen. And there's gonna be so much stuff ending up at Five Below and Ollie's because fans are not going to accept that. So. Just be patient, Star Wars fans. Don't jump on the new releases because there'll be plenty to go around in overstock. Trust me on that. I'm not paying full price. I'm not going to pay. You think I'm going to pay $20 for a 3 3/4 inch figure? I've been pushed to my limits, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
death of an industry.
And right on the heels of the potential of these new movies, these new stories. A Mando Grogu film, the potential for merchandise on that is huge. And you think you're going to sell these little 4-inch figures for $20 a pop? I don't know. Seems
they're going to walk that back. That's going to be walked back. I predict that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hate to end on a sour note. There is lots of exciting things to look forward to, and we'll be bringing it all to you here on Rebel Force Radio. If you need more RFR, check us out over on our all of our social channels. You can find us on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Instagram. Of course, we're on Patreon. That's where you can get exclusive podcasts that you won't find anywhere else, including RFR Q&A, the Babu Freaks, RPG. Check that out. Plus, the official website for all things and everything Rebel Force Radio, your hub for all Rebel Force Radio news and releases, rebelforceradio.com. So please get in the community, join. The temperature of the water is just fine here at RFR Central. So hang out with us. We'll see you next week for more RFR. Until then, for Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy Mack, baby.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
Baby.
Baby.
You ever party with a mythosaur?